Today is Wednesday, March 4th, 2020. I am Julie Hankinson, and this is the view out my window. Well, I had a bit of a accident. Well, not too bad. I twisted a muscle. But the fact that I twisted a muscle meant that I had to then treat myself, which means for me, I had naproxen, and because I have a very low tolerance for pain and drugs. So, I mean, naproxen is all it takes to just wipe me out. I'm gone. But I also plastered these little mini heating pads all over, trying to relax the muscle and everything. Because, oh my gosh, that hurts like a son of a gun still. And to make a long story short, I realized I thought I had a well-stocked medicine cabinet. It's like, oh, I have 6 months supply, yada, yada, yada. I'm good to go. And I'm sitting here going, whoa, if something like this happens again, I'm going to be completely wiped out. Because if you use a couple of 3 of those little heating pads at a time, that's a whole box. And I was not as prepared as I thought I should be. So definitely going to need to, whenever I feel like I can drive again, I'm going to need to make a trip and at least get more heating pads and ask my doctor for more naproxen, because did not have as much as I thought I did. I just had a nice little reality check. Another interesting thing that happened to me is I was, I live here in Japan, and so I had a shipment coming in from Germany, and I was looking at, how they ship it, and for some reason it goes into Sichuan, China, and it gets scanned there before it gets shipped to Japan. And I have never done this before, but when I received it, I had the delivery man put it straight into a plastic bag, and I sprayed it down with alcohol sanitizer. And I'm leaving it in that plastic bag for, I figure if I leave it there for a month, then whatever it is, if it was even anything there, should be dead. I think, some people say 7 days, some people say 14 days. I'm not taking any chances. And I'm not being prejudiced or anything like that. I've never done this before. But the fact that something actually landed and may have been contaminated in China is very scary to me. And I'm not going to apologize for going the extra mile and spraying it down and just not even unpackaging it or touching it, until the, the time that a germ can live away from the host has expired. There's just so many ways that we can be exposed, and we need to protect ourselves right now. So, please don't anyone think that I'm being racist or anything. I'm just being cautious about exposure to germs. And I would do the same thing if it came from a contamination zone in Washington right now. We just all need to buckle down and be very careful. And because I think an excellent example is what's going on in South Korea. I mean, the people went to church, and one super spreader spread it to 45 people, and the next thing you know, you now have 5,000 people who have the coronavirus in South Korea. I mean, this is just really getting crazy, and I think the only reason that we don't have more cases documented in the United States is because the CDC has not provided the necessary testing kits for everyone to be tested. And I think whenever our government and the CDC get this little problem ironed out, they will find out that we already have a massive exposure going on in the United States. And then they will be able to treat it appropriately, which I do not believe that they can do right now, because our medical people, our ambulance drivers, the emergency rooms, technicians, receptionists, nurses, and doctors are not prepared for this, and they are being exposed. They are on the front line, and they are going to be the first ones that become contaminated and sick, and it's all because our country is not prepared to handle this. And it is our professionals, our medical professionals, who are going to be the ones that are going to be suffering for this lack of coordination and oversight. Just ridiculous mess that is brewing right now in our own country. And that just appalls me that others are getting a handle on this so much better than we are. I tend to think of us, as much better and much prepared, and the way it's being handled is just appalling. And also, I really like the new suggestion that in New York, they're suggesting that testing should be absolutely free, because I think that we'll get a much better handle on things if the testing is free in the first place. People will be more forthcoming about this, and they won't end up with horrendous medical bills which they can't pay because their medical insurance is not covering it. So this is just, we've got to get a handle on this downward spiral. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, and I'm sure that you all are very emotional, even if you don't agree with me 100%, that this could be handled in a better way. On a lighter note, I also noticed that I have an appalling lack of Oreos in my pantry stash, and I'm going to have to top off, along with my medicines. I've got to get more Oreos. So I hope that you all are prepared and that you are definitely washing your hands. I know I've seen a lot of posts out there about how to wash your hands. I've even seen some posts where people are making face masks out of coffee filters. The best thing you can do is just separate yourself from large crowds, and definitely take precautions to protect yourself and your family. Definitely stock up. And I don't know how you feel about Amazon right now, but the fact is you can order stuff and you can have it delivered to your doorstep and circumvent the crowds. So I'm just throwing that out there as a suggestion that, you really need to avoid crowds. So enough of harping on the necessary here. I truly hope that everyone is well and that you're taking precautions and you are prepared, because we are being bombarded financially as well as medically, and you need to make sure that you are prepared for the future. This craziness is not going to cure itself overnight. So with that, I will say good night, and y'all take care, and definitely remember to wash your hands. Good night.